News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Jack Blood with you. This is Deadline Live, AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And we are on the 21st day of October, 2009. We are live today. Before I bring up Stewart Rhodes, if you're not familiar with Oath Keepers, and maybe you've been living in a cave in Pakistan somewhere, you probably saw this come out from the Las Vegas Review-Journal here just the other day. Ready to revolt. Oath Keepers pledges to prevent dictatorship in the United States. Group asks police and military to lay down arms in response to orders deemed unlawful. Why are people having a problem with this? What is the problem? They're there. They swear an oath to defend the Constitution. Why is it so hard to ask them to actually do it? Before I bring up Stewart, I want to play this little clip. This is from last night's MSNBC. General Electric, the biggest warmongering company probably in the history of the world, war profiteers. Here is one of their spokespeople, Chrissy Matthews, along with one of the stooges at the Southern Poverty Law Center, with our friend Stewart Rhodes, who will join us in just a second. If you missed it, here's what it sounded like.
What do you mean by foreign troops in the United States? Name them. I guess I'm confused here. Well, Name the foreign troops that are being brought into the United States now. You imagine.
Look at the Hessians just in the American Revolution who were brought here. We had foreign troops then who were used. It happens throughout history. Go look at history.
So you're putting people together on a kind of a war footing, preparing them to be vigilant, to be ready to challenge the imposition of foreign troops in this country, the creation of concentration. You know what I think you're up to is creating a mindset. I heard some people the other day talking about the battle. We have to keep the battle going. You want to have people in a militant environment where they think militantly with this sense of perhaps taking steps at some point against the government or not taking orders or in some way rebelling, so that you keep people in a mindset of right-wing thinking so you can achieve some immediate political goal. And I'm just wondering what you're getting the vote right-wing. What are you trying to get people to do in the next year or two or 10 years before this Armageddon struggle occurs?
We want them to keep their oath, Chris. Chris, the oath is to the Constitution.
No, in the short term, what do you... Look, you don't expect the concentration camps to come in the short run, do you?
No, I don't. It's a long-term concern.
Do you expect the Hessians to be back in the short run?
We are trying to prevent this country from suffering the abuse and the violation of rights that has happened in other countries in recent history.
How so?
How so? By keeping the oath. It's to the Constitution. It's not to any one man, whether he gives you a thrill up your leg or not. It's to the Constitution.
Yeah, so you believe that we have a possibility in this country of undermining the Constitution under Barack Obama. Hey, that's what you see coming.
Or under a future President Giuliani or anybody else. The abuse of the Constitution didn't begin with Obama, and it hasn't stopped, unfortunately, either. Bush was violating the Constitution also.
That is right. The thrill-up-the-leg comment was brilliant. I think you really startled him there for a second, Stewart. Stewart Rhodes is with us. He is the founder and director and spokesperson for oathkeepers.org. He served as a U.S. Army paratrooper until disabled in a rough-terrain parachuting accident during a night jump. He's also a former firearms instructor and former member of Ron Paul's D.C. staff. He currently writes the monthly Enemy at the Gates column for SWAT magazine. He's also a Yale Law School graduate. Stewart, great to have you on the show. Man, that was a rough-and-tumble interview, but I thought you cleaned their clocks. Go ahead and put up Stewart if we have him. Daniel, if you could talk to me and let me know. I just assumed we had him.
He's there.
Okay. Stewart, are you with us?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah. I was going to say, I think Chris Matthews has an extra oxygen tank.
Is that right? He might have needed it with talking to you last night. What are you up to? Who are these people with guns? You were getting to swear to this thing called the Constitution. I mean, do people at MSNBC, the viewers, of which there are less and less every day, do they honestly buy into any of this?
I don't know. We live in such a polarized, artificially polarized political world that, they probably do. If it's their guy in power, they're asleep at the switch, and anybody even opens their mouths while he's in power is a traitor. Just like it was when the neocons were in power. It's the same thing.
It's opposite, because as I often say on the show, I was a left-wing, American-hating, anti-war extremist, and now all of a sudden I'm a right-wing racist and all of this.
Right. Yes.
How did they, I assume they contacted you off of that article that was going around here yesterday or the day before, where you're challenging the system and trying to get people, obviously, to swear the oath to the Constitution so that a total dictatorship doesn't come in. I heard Andy Williams say almost the same thing. How did they contact you? How did they set this up? And give us any behind-the-scenes info you got, Stewart.
The RJ did an article, Uber Journal here in Las Vegas, and it got picked up on the Drudge Report, in part because the RJ, the editorial staff, inserted the word revolt in the subtitle. They can't help themselves, even though we're not calling on the military to do anything other than stand down and to peacefully just say no. They insist on trying to make it sound like we're some kind of militia. So that went up on Drudge, and then from there it went kind of wild. And it's actually helped us quite a bit. We've gotten a huge response and a huge spike in people coming to our site, and also a huge spike in membership too.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is there'd be a lot of cops that would eventually hear about this or see it and go, why haven't I heard about it? In fact, I just interviewed an ex-police officer before you came on the issue of legalizing drugs and marijuana, and I passed along your info to him. He's going to be looking you up. But I think if more people, our cops and military, find out about you guys, then they're going to join. And no, it's not to revolt. It's just not to take unconstitutional orders to take Americans' guns, to herd them into camps. I thought you made some good points, but let's remember New Orleans. Can we remember Hurricane Katrina, where black water came in and were roughing up old ladies and marching through the streets like a foreign military force, where they were holding citizens at gunpoint in the Superdome, which was a makeshift FEMA camp over there, or shipping them over to the Houston's Dome, or putting them in these abhorrent conditions in the convention center. I mean, we've seen this, and as you brought up, we know what happened in World War II with the Japanese. I guess anything's possible.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I told Chrissy Matthews. Wouldn't he have liked to have had the soldiers who were told to go round up Japanese Americans? Wouldn't he want them to disobey those orders? But he never answered that question. Apparently he wants them all to march in lockstep. Whatever the supreme leader says.
He didn't, and we could lock up all the Muslims, I guess, too, or fly them out in the case of the Bin Laden family. But this is something that is historically in our country, not something we're scared about, not something we worry about, but it's something that if we don't roll up our sleeves and protect, it's going to go bye-bye.
Well, the founders didn't only worry about things that were immediate threats. They planned long term, and that's why they put that oath there. It's required in Article 6 of the Constitution itself. They weren't stupid. They saw that the oath in England was to the king, or to the queen, as it is today, and so they knew this. The history, the pattern throughout history. Blind obedience to a ruler leads to a government of men rather than laws. And so they wanted to make sure that the obedience was to the law and the highest law of the land. So that's why it's there. And to me, I look at it like a dormant secret weapon on the side of freedom, because no matter how bad it may get politically, even if abusive and violent people and would-be tyrants take the political process and rig elections, etc., and pack the courts with their cronies, they still can't destroy the country and can't enslave the people unless the people in the military and police forget their oath.